You know, if I was a Canadian, instead of telling people when they said, "Hey, where's the good place to go on Lake St. Clair?" I wouldn't say the mile roads. I'd probably say Belle River Hump. I mean, to me, the Belle River Hump is the mile roads of Canada. I mean, it's a 3 mile long piece of structure. It's right in the middle of the South Shore, basically. It's right out from the Belle River. So, I mean, if you can find the Belle River on the map, pretty much straight out, and just I think a little east of that is the Belle River Hump. But it's 3 miles long. There's nothing else like it on that side of the lake, so it's not difficult to figure out where it's at. And here's how I kind of found it. I found it one time early and didn't even know it. But one of the second times I went to find it, and I don't did again back then we didn't make those long runs a lot. We were just starting to. When the second, I think the second major bass tournament came there, I'm running across the lake and it was a little hazy, and I'm looking to see, where is it? Where is it? I should, I'm looking at my GPS or Loran or whatever I had at the time, and I kind of come out of the haze and I see this line of boats like this and like that. 55 boats I counted. I thought, I think it's on. I think the Belle River Hump's on. So, but it's just when you have a major piece of structure on a lake that's basically a big giant bowl, you know it's going to be good. And what's neat about Belle River Hump is the same as the mile roads. It has everything a bass needs. So you got 3 mile long structure. It goes from shore 3 miles out into the middle of the lake, basically where they could winter in a lake that size with that depth. It goes right out into the wintering depth. So to me, I already know there's going to be a lot of bass that live around Belle River Hump. It's nice. It's a sandy hump with rock patches all over it. I mean, I don't really know how many rock patches are on it because when I drop the camera, there's just too many to count. There's big ones, little ones, thin areas, big areas. There's rock patches off the sides. There's weed clumps off the sides, and that changes every year too. The weeds out there. Some year they're thicker and taller. And there's a lot of current going down that South Shore. I don't think a lot of people maybe realize that. Maybe the top fishermen, but sometimes all those weeds get bent over so flat it looks like they're gone. And then you go back the next day and they're kind of like floating back up. And it's like now you got weed lines and weed clumps that you can fish. But they're there all the time. I've flown the lake a couple times and I noticed that about that South Shore. Is I flew it one time and I could see defined weed edge. Flew it the next time I thought the weeds were gone. So, but Belle River Hump is just it's not one of my top spots, but I can't argue the fact that a lot of people catch a lot of fish there, and I have caught a lot of fish there. What I do like about Belle River Hump is it's big enough that you can get away from people. So when I go there, I don't like fishing in crowds. I don't like fishing next to people. I don't like shutting down next to people. I don't like it when they do it to me. Is if I see everybody in the bottom half, I go to the end. If I see everybody at the end, I go to the bottom half. And I try to get on something different because I figure there's no way that all the fish are out that 3 miles. There's probably schools of fish that live all over that thing and off the sides and outside of it. And now we find out there's fish out in the middle of the lake off of it. And so I kind of like that about the area, and that should be how it should work. Is there should be fish that live all around that thing when you got something that major. So what I've noticed is it's the same thing. You got resident fish. I call them residents only because they do this around those rock piles. I've dropped the camera and they're just doing this. To me, those are resident fish. They've seen that same tube 12 times. They're not going to bite it this time unless it does something different. And then you got fish that come up over the side, swim over, hey, how you doing, and swim off. Those are easier to catch fish, but sometimes those residents are two of the big ones that have blasted. So those are the ones, if you like that kind of fishing and you can, sit on them and keep working at them, different colors, different weights, different ways of presenting the bait, you can catch them. I think that's probably a good way to get those fish. But I like to just kind of fish it kind of quick. That's actually when I first started there, we were drifting and dragging. So that was my first experience with it and didn't even know it. Back, I can't even tell you how long ago it was. Maybe my second or third year, I was new to my club, and the guy said, hey, we hired a charter captain. He took us on the other side of the lake. Back then I couldn't even see shore. I thinking, well, how far is that? I was like, 15, 20 miles. I was terrified. And they said, well, we're going to run out there. We ran out, and basically, to me, it looked like we stopped in the middle of the lake. Like, what are we doing out here? And then I noticed it's only 12 feet deep. I'm like, well, this is weird. And we drifted all over the place. It was windy, it was rainy, it was dark, so I had no idea where I was or what I was doing. Couldn't see the water towers. That's another good key for each of the hot spots. For some reason, the Canadians build water towers in front of all their hot spots along their South Shore. I don't know what that's all about. So remember that. If you see a water tower, fish out in front of it. Good spot. But we're drifting out there, and everybody's catching sheephead, and we were catching a little bass. And me and my partner, we got a limit, and we were kind of bummed because everybody was bragging about all these 3-pounders they were catching, which back then 3-pounders were big. And all we caught was, 2-pounders and less. Well, it turned out they were all catching big sheephead, and that was it. And we were the only ones that caught bass. So that was my first experience with Belle River Hump. So I should like it better because I actually got a limit the first time I ever fished in a tournament there. But, that's what's neat about it. You can drift and drag it. You can spot fish rock piles. You can fish down the edge. You can crank over top of it. You can go out off the sides. You can go off the end. You can fish the saddle. And that's kind of how I approach it, is I just look, where's the most of the boats? And I just fish another part of it. And you can do that. There's fish all over. They're not just on one part.